It's December 31st, last day of the year, and it's almost 20 to 6 in the evening. I'm just watching TV a little bit and just got a letter off to Dave Meyer. I hope he's home by now. I assume he is. And I'll try to make this a good tape if I can. Once again, I've kind of written some things down and try to talk about them and make it somewhat interesting, but it may be kind of jumbled. I, as of yet, have not received my stereo, and I've told the people at TMO to check on it, and I guess I'll put a tracer on when it had left the States. What the TMO at Warminster should have done was write to the TMO here and tell them when it has been sent. So they're checking on it, and I'm still waiting to receive it. And I'm using my my new TX tape deck along with the old GE. It's not that good a quality using that GE, but it's better than nothing. I just hope it's not ruining my new tape deck. I doubt it. I received the picture of Teddy. Boy, he looks fat in that picture. And I noticed the date. So if you could take some up-to-date pictures of him, I'd appreciate it. Something that might look good on a painting. And then I can have one painted for you. And me. And like the picture of Dave. Looked pretty good. And also the picture of everybody out on the farm. I really enjoy those kind of things. I hope I can get some more pictures in the mail from you. I've been taking a whole lot of pictures, both when I've been flying up in the tanker and other various photographs using my new Vivitar camera of Korea. I guess the latest thing I've really taken a lot of pictures of was we went out to an orphanage on Christmas, or just short of Christmas. I don't know if I ever mentioned that in the letter, but Pete Hook and I took our bikes out, and the rest of the squadron some guys went on bikes, and the rest of the people went in trucks. And it was approximately 40, 50 miles away, and it was kind of cold that day as it is now. And on the bike, it even made it worse. But Pete and I had a good time riding our bikes up there, and after getting off the main road, you had to take a dirt road for about 5 miles, which was kind of rough. Some of the cars could not even pass. They had to go a different way. But I was kind of against the idea of going to an orphanage. I guess I feel sorry for them. But it really was worth my while. I had a good time, and we played with the kids. We took frisbee, we gave them frisbees and all kinds of presents and gifts, and threw the frisbees around to each other, and played soccer and other little things. And then they put on a little show, which I got pictures of. But all in all, we had a whole bunch of people. We had both squadrons up there. A lot of guys went, and we presented them with gifts, and we have our own Santa Claus, who is one of the guys in our squadron. We spent approximately 6 hours there, 6 to 7 hours, and then came back, rode our bikes back, and that was it. And took a bunch of pictures. I'll bring them back with me, obviously. Maybe I'll even send them in the mail. Kind of disappointed on some of the indoor shots. They didn't come out very well. Maybe it was the film I was using, because it's a small Instamatic type Vivitar with a built-in flash. But it sure is handy not using cubes. I hope your Christmas was good, and I hope you received all my presents. That's what I was trying to say before is I understand about the lamp, and the company does. You pay for I have no receipt for the insurance, but when you pay for the gift, you pay for the insurance as well, all in one check. So I'll have to go back in the catalog and read the instructions and see how they deal with the insurance. But well, Mom, I hope you got your gift which you should have got at the same time as the lamp. Uh, the lamp was for both of you, and the one small gift is for you, Mother, and then Dad's is going to come some other time as soon as it's a kind of gift that you have to wait. It'll be shipped right from the supplier itself. So I hope you enjoyed them. I liked my slippers that you got me. And certainly wasn't like being at home. I'd appreciate if you could look into some things for me. Could you look into the price of a 19-inch Zenith color TV? They have one in the catalog that is around 430 bucks, and I'm seriously thinking about getting it. I think I mentioned I'd buy it and have it sent home, but apparently in this section of the catalog you cannot have it sent to any U.S. address, so I'd have to have it sent here. But I hate to delay any longer, just in case the prices go up even further. Also, if you could send my boots, my cowboy type boots. You can't. The shoe quality over here is just ridiculous. Doesn't make sense to buy any boots here because of the quality. And I could sure use them. I have to use sneakers as a substitution for boots. So if you could send mine over, I'd really appreciate it. I also hope you got my my check for $80. That should help out in a lot of the mailing. And also, what else? I sent you something somewhat large. I can't remember what it was now. Well, whatever. Received a letter from Colonel Cunningham today, or not today, but this past week. Let me read it for you. Let me get out of my drawer and read it to you. It's not a letter to me. It's a copy of the original that was sent to MPC by him. It says, "This letter is to urge your selection of Second Lieutenant James F. Flood." And then it's got my social security number for undergraduate pilot training. Lieutenant Flood attended F-4 training here at MacDill Air Force Base, and I am very familiar with his outstanding capabilities. He distinguished himself during this training and was selected as a distinguished graduate of his class. Lieutenant Flood represents the finest in young officers. He combines talent with desire and tremendous dedication to excel in each endeavor. I strongly support his application for UPT and would welcome him as a fighter pilot in my wing. Charles J. Cunningham, Jr. So I hope it pulls some weight, and I certainly hope it goes to the chairman of the board. And it was really surprised to hear that you got a postcard or a Christmas card from him. I think that is really fantastic. And tell me more about it, and anything else you know maybe about his letter to MPC. Flying's going fairly good here. I guess the latest thing that's happened is we have new flights within the squadron and new flight commanders, and it's been pretty much reorganized. And they crewed people together, which means you have two guys who should be flying together all the time, which is great as far as getting along with each other, knowing each other's weaknesses, and just an all-in-all camaraderie. And I'm crewed with another guy. I don't even know if I've mentioned this. I should remember these things. With another first lieutenant who's from Alabama, Birmingham, and he was the guy I was a sponsor to, as he just finished at MacDill a couple months ago. Can you imagine me being crewed with a guy from the South? We kid each other all the time and have different name tags that we wear. This week he's been wearing his Texas state flag as a name tag, and I've been wearing Pennsylvania. We have gotten flack about it, but who cares? Just to celebrate, prepare for the Penn State-Alabama game, which is tomorrow. I'm pulling for Penn State hard, as you can imagine, and he's pulling for Alabama real hard. And we've got all kinds of name tags. He wears Rebel Sharp, I wear Flash Flood, and he wears Apo and I wear Maddox, Appomattox. because of the North and the South relationship. But we get along real well, and I think there's only one other crew that has two lieutenants together out of, oh gee, a bunch of air crews. So we're pretty proud of that fact. In fact, we helped the squadron commander out the other day when we were flying. We had to take over because he lost his radios and was having all kinds of problems with his airplane. So the more we fly together, the better I think we can both perform. We have coming up now, it's been delayed several times, is a certification, which means you have to stand up, the two of us stand up in front of the wing commander, the vice wing commander, or the DO, and another 8 members on this board, and they listen to you, and you have to brief them on a target in North Korea, which you might have to drop a nuclear weapon on. It certifies that you're capable of doing it, and if it ever comes up, that you'll be certified to do so. So it's a pretty sticky problem, and we've had to delay it because we weren't quite ready for it. And you really have to be sure and positive about the whole idea. So we'll probably have to, we are planning to have it next Friday. And we're trying to get our act together now. Other than that, flying's been going pretty good. We're at the end of the half. And starting a new half at the beginning of the year here. The aggressors are going to be coming, and we'll be flying air to air against them. And then all the kind of exercises. I hope I never see another ORI like I told you in my other letters or tapes. I don't think I ever will while I'm here. It's coming down, and 4 months are down, and a quarter of the way through or a third of the way through my tour here. I have a couple notes on the mid-tour. I talked to the people in the squadron, and tentatively I'll be taking my leave from 20 April to the 20th of May. So Dad, if you can work on that with the tanker unit, I'd appreciate it. And that's firm right now. I just found that out this week, and I would have liked to make an MWR call, but since the command post isn't letting us do it for a while, I'd have to send it through a tape. What else can I say? Not much I can say as far as what goes on here. The weather's been cold and windy. We had snow this past week. I suppose you have too. I like to keep my eyes on the sporting. Looks like the Flyers aren't doing too bad. I don't think they have much to hope for this season. The Sixers started off real strong this year, it looks like, but have kind of tapered off. You got to send me some clippings or some notes on how they've been doing. I really miss watching them on TV, as am I disappointed not seeing St. Joe's. Even though this little paper over here tries to give world events, St. Joe's has been listed several times under the scores. As a matter of fact, they look like they're really doing well this year. Last night I looked on the TV and said that in a holiday tournament they lost to Maryland, who's number 20, in overtime. So they must really have a good team this year. I'd like to see some news clippings on them as well. I was kind of disturbed, Mother, your letter. I'm not faulting. I'm just kind of upset to hear about Grandpa and that the way he's feeling and his thinking. Really hurts me to hear that. But I ought to know. There's not much I can do. It kind of touched me. And then hearing about Randy's little baby, that's kind of upsetting to me as well. Really feel sorry for him. I hate being this far away from home and not being able to be touched with anything that has a crisis involved with it. I'm looking down at the tape here, and it seems like I've been talking for a long time, but the thing's not moving. I can't see. I love to listen to your tapes. I don't care how long they are. I like to hear what's going on. But then it comes to me, and I'd be talking, and nothing's coming out. I've gotten a lot of nice clothes. I have you know about the corduroy suit, which reminds me, Dad. I hope you got your present there. Let me know how it fits and if you like it. I also have a leather jacket, which is really beautiful. It's a double-breasted leather jacket, which I don't have much occasion to wear over here, but sure will be nice to have one at home. And I have another, a dark blue three-piece suit of Dacron and polyester, as well as a gray slacks to go with it. I'm having some corduroy pants made and some other things, which is costing me some bucks, but it sure will be nice having these things when I get back. Just briefly reading over your letter, Dad. Uh, I think I don't know if I ever mentioned it in a tape, but Colonel Kennebec, our DO, is good friends with your personnel guy, what Lloyd Angel. So I think he said to say hi. He let me know if you mentioned that to him or not. Glad to hear that you saw Pierre Giovanni and Joel Friedman. I'm glad they asked about me. It's kind of interesting that it's always nice to have some friends as an '06 coming over here. I'd be interested to know his name, and I don't even know if he's been over here yet, but be interested to hear that. I don't quite understand. You said my name missed the Colonel's list. What do you mean by that? Did you get turned down, or wasn't it on it? Was it too late, or something like that? Please let me know. It's good to hear that Ted's looking good, that you're brushing him every day. Gee, I think about him so much. I can't. Send me some pictures of him and see what he looks like. He needs those shots and keep him in good shape. And reading about, he looked out and didn't see him in the house and went out and got the key, go in the car, drive around, and there he was, sitting on the steps. He's a real clown. Give me a call when you get to Grissom or any base. When you call, ask for room 208. I guess I should have told you that before. That would help, then they don't have to go up and down the halls calling my name. Well, can't think of much more to say. Only that it's always good talking to you, and I try to get as many letters out as I can to everybody. I still have a lot to get out. Boy, I can't believe it. Wrote to Tom Ebden a little while ago and Dave today. I'm going to try to mail it tonight. So, good talking to you. Tell everybody I said hi. Tell Grandpa I said hi, and I hope he's going to be feeling much better. And Jan and Nancy and Teddy. So I think I'll sign off right now and talk to you later.
Something about the Pinot. We've really had a time with your Pinot. And I'm so thankful that you took out that extended repair policy, or extended service policy, whatever they call it, when you bought the car. On the way out to Cincinnati, I don't think I told you that I got almost to Pittsburgh on Route I-70 and the water pump went on the fritz. It just completely went. And the car overheated, and so I had to walk about a mile and a half to a telephone. And finally by 12 o'clock or 12:15, I was towed into a Ford garage where they went to work on the car immediately. I'd left the house at 5:15 in the morning, hoping to be in Cincinnati for a 4 o'clock meeting in the afternoon. It took them from noon till 4:30 in the afternoon to replace the water pump in the car. So all I could do was just turn around and come back to Pottstown. I was fortunate that nothing happened on the way back, because on the next day when I went out to look at the car, I looked in the radiator and there wasn't any water in it. And there wasn't any water under the car, or I couldn't figure out where the water went. So I added some more water in antifreeze and drove it around. Well, it was Monday when the water pump went, and so Tuesday I added water, and Wednesday morning again drove up to the church for choir practice, and on the way back the red light came on again to say that the car was overheating. So Thursday morning I got up and looked in the radiator, and there's no water, no antifreeze on the ground or around the car. So I immediately put water in it and drove it down to Butch and said, "Hey, look at this car and see what's the matter with it." So they said they would keep it, and fortunately gave us a car that we could use when Grandma and Grandpa were here, and we still have it. In fact, they've been working on the Pinto ever since I took it in there on Wednesday. Last night I stopped, and they were putting it all back together again, and what happened was that when the car overheated, both heads on the car warped. So they had to be sent to a place to be planed, to be made flat again, so they could be put on the car. It seems that water, instead of staying within the water jacket, leaked into the motor itself and burned up when the car got hot. So now that they've worked on the car, it's should be in good shape. In fact, after having planed the heads down, the compression on the motor ought to be a lot higher than it was before. The only cost to me will be the first $25. I'm sure it's going to cost Ford Motor Company over $400 to have that kind of a job done to the car. So when it gets back, it's going to be in real fine running order, and I can't wait to get it back again, even though I enjoy driving a 79 Granada, which really handles beautifully. Sunday was a busy day. We went down to see Grandma and Grandpa. Grandpa's still not feeling himself yet. It's going to be a while before he begins to think as clearly as he used to. And of course he becomes impatient with Grandma once in a while when she doesn't understand what he wants. You almost have to sit there and anticipate what he's going to speak about so that you can understand what he's saying. Sometimes it amounts to agreeing with what he's saying. But physically he looks a lot better than he did, and God willing, the time will soon pass when he'll be feeling the way he used to feel. It was good to hear your voice the other day and to hear that you're feeling well. I think it's pretty nice of the gals on the switchboard at Redcom to put me through to Korea so fast. Of course, Thanksgiving Day here wasn't too busy on the switchboard, and the way she got me through to Korea, I think she came back on the line and said, "You have Korea, Chaplain." She apparently must have been the only switchboard operator working that day. I had a good time down at MacDill when I was there. In fact, when I get to the base next week, I'm going to call Ray and ask him what month they want me to come back again. While I was there, they were talking about having me come back the first part of February and having 12 more days of active duty with them. But I told Ray there's no sense in my coming down there while he's there, because then that just means that you've got to, they would be giving me busy things to do. I got acquainted with the new chaplain that came to take the Southern Baptists over there. They replaced him with another Southern Baptist. His first name is Dwayne, and I'm trying to think of his last name, but nevertheless, Dwayne's a real fine chaplain. He picked me up at the airport and put me in the fine quarters that I had. we became good friends while I was there. Had quite a bit of counseling to do and had 2 services on Sunday. And they were writing my 77A up when I called the last time I was out at the base. They were going to put into the 77A the report that goes to ARPC and also to my commander that I had done well at mastering the use of the Audubon. In fact, I should send a note to Howard Quinn, my good friend, and tell him I've done the ultimate in using the Audubon by calling from my house to MacDill to Korea. He'd get a big kick out of that because that was one of the things that he had kidded me most about, was that I could use the Audubon anytime I wanted to call you over in Korea. Howard and I became good friends. He more than before, though we were good friends to begin with. One night he invited me over to his plush apartment in a 10-story. He was on the 10th floor of a high-rise apartment overlooking one of the bays, about 5 minutes from the from the gate. He picked up a couple of juicy steaks on the way home, made a salad, and cooked a couple of baked potatoes, and we sat there enjoying a meal, sharing good friendship and companionship, discovering ways in which we both agree philosophically and religiously and socially. He's a good man. Ray's lucky to have a Catholic priest working with him, such as Howard Quinn is. Time went along a little slow when I wanted to be with your mother, but then when I look back, the time really passed very quickly. They kept me busy and kept urging me to stay out of the office, but there weren't too many places to go. So I enjoyed being in the office, and every time I saw an F-4 take off, I thought of you, and thinking of the times that we had together down there. I saw your squadron commander, Rip Blaisdell, and he asked how you were doing, and he was there at the 9 o'clock service, which I had. He seems like a very nice fellow, and his wife is very active in the base. I, of course, told you already about the fine visit I had with Colonel Cunningham, who's really interested in your success and your future. And I was glad to hear on the tape that you sent that you had already written him a letter of appreciation for contacting Colonel Hollowell down in MPC. The colonel's list was on the base last month when I was there. Was on the base this last month, and it always comes through confidential until the commanders see it, and then of course there is always a suspense date in which they can use to announce who got promoted. I really don't care one way or the other. It'd be nice to get my eagles, but I kind of hate giving up the outfit that I'm attached to right now. Even though it costs money, the Colonel McDaniels is one of the finest commanders I've known since I've been in the Air Force Reserve. They're going to be taking a trip in January over to England. We're supposed to go over to Mildenhall on deployment with our 8 airplanes, and if they go over in January, I'm going to ask to go along with them on the basis that I certainly ought to go along and see what the chapel facilities are like. I don't know whether they can get the man days for me, but it's worth trying. Going to the 452nd Wing, to which we are attached, will be flying KC-135 out of March and coming all the way over to Grissom to pick up the gang there, and then they probably would stop at Dover or McGuire, and they could pick me up there. That would be a good trip to take. I suppose they'd be there 4 or 5 days and then come home again. Then they could drop me off, but I'm not too sure that Billy Henderson would be willing to give up the man days for that kind of a boondoggle. one of these days, I think that whole unit, including the support staff that they have out of the combat support group, will be going into the 452nd Wing. If it does, that I would like. Of course, Jack Rosen has been pressing for me to move to Cincinnati. The program in Cincinnati looks like it's going to come through all right now. On the day before I was to show up at the base, I stopped on Thursday in Columbus, to meet the commissioner for mental retardation to find out exactly why the thing hadn't been moving. And come to find out, they were thinking along the same lines I was thinking months ago about using Sekernik's building as a nursing home for the mentally retarded. And that is the thing that the commissioner wanted, and his subordinate, you probably heard me mention his name, Magnoni, have been talking about, and Vince Pettinelli have been talking about putting 3 levels of the mentally retarded in there. Cincinnati didn't want it, and Magnoni's boss didn't want it, so that's the reason we didn't get the support. Now we're talking about leasing the building from Sekernik, and putting just elderly people in it that need nursing home care, and it'll be cheaper for the state, and we may not make as much as we were going to make off of it, but we would make more than enough to support my associate out there and myself. Jack Rosen had convinced Billy Henderson that I was going to be out there by January, so he's working hard to get the community to go along with our program and plans for the use of that building. He doesn't want to work under Billy Henderson either, so working with McDaniels is a snap. I don't know whether I told you, but while I was at MacDill, I talked to the people at Grissom, and Fridays they wanted me to show up over at the base chapel and spend Fridays there for training, they said. So I walked into Mac's office, Colonel McDaniel's office, on this past weekend, or 2 weeks ago rather, and I said, Colonel, I'm sure you're aware of where I have been ordered to spend my Fridays. And I said, no. He says, I'm not. He said, well, I have orders to report to the base chapel on Fridays for training. And he looked at me and he said, you've got to be kidding. I said, no. I said, those are my orders, that I have to show up there for training. He says, you don't need any training. He says, now listen to this. He says, I'm your boss on these days when you're here. So when you when you show up for work on Friday, you spend an hour over at the chapel and then get out of there, and then come over here and work with us and visit our people where you should. And he says, I'll take care of defending where you're supposed to be spending your time. I said, well, I agree with you. I said, if I needed the training, all I'd need on my cap was a silver bar rather than a silver leaf. So he's a real nice guy, and I'm glad I'm working for him. There's a different spirit entirely with that organization. The pilots and the navigators and the boomers all seem to get along pretty well. They're redesigning the building which they have, which is right across from the 305th Air Refueling Wing's headquarters. So I go out there a week from this next Friday, and I'll give you a call if they will let me plug into the Redcom switchboard, as well as I'll talk to Ray Pritz and find out when they want me, and it'll either be February or March or next year. That won't be too hard to take. The only thing I want to be sure of is when you get down to the point when you've decided when you're going to be in the States, why that, of course, I will not be available then for them. I'm sorry to hear that your stereo didn't arrive in good condition. We tried to pack it as best we could, but you know the post office. they throw things and they lay things on top of each other, whether it's fragile or not. It's too bad there isn't somebody there that could adjust the tone arm so it wouldn't skip across the turntable. It would probably be adequate for your needs, and then you wouldn't run the risk of having your goods set shipped over there. I would imagine by the time it left this part of Pennsylvania and was shipped across the country on a train, and then ultimately onto a ship from San Francisco, that the time in transit would be a couple of months. But as soon as we hear from you with your power of attorney and your orders and whatever has to be done, why, we'll be glad to comply with your wishes. Hope you enjoyed the tomatoes that Mother sent. They should be ripe by the time that they get there, and if you take them out of the wrappers and let them sit on your windowsill, I'm sure that you'll have fresh tomatoes right out of Mother's garden. We still have a number of tomatoes here. They're all ripe. Most of them are ripe. Teddy's being his lazy self this morning. He's up on the bed. He managed to pull down the spread after Grandpa left, and we threw his old pillow up there, so he's up there with his head on the pillow. He wanted to get in Grandma's bed one night, put his head on her pillow. I guess he likes the smell of people that he likes.
We have trouble with
Mother just reminded me, not only are we having trouble with our car, but Nancy's having trouble as well. She can't get the thing started. It was funny, the other night, your mother and I stopped over at Nancy's, and Alan, of course, was there, and he had the air filter off the top of the carburetor, and it would start and then it would just die out. So I told Alan to slip in the car and turn the key on and see how long it would run. So while he started while he's turned the key, it started. So then I reached in and I opened the butterfly valve in the carburetor, and the thing kept running. It was amazing. So we tied the butterfly valve back so that it would be open. The next day, Alan came to see that it got started for Nancy, and it wouldn't start. Reminds me of the time that I was on that C97. I'm sure I told you about it, and made the sign of the cross over the jet engine that started the engines on the airplane, and it started. But now it won't start at all, so finally Nancy's done the smart thing and having it towed into Carl's to have them look at it to see why it won't start. It needs special tools and special knowledge that, well, you know that I don't have, and certainly I don't think Alan has much more understanding of it than I do. Mother's in the midst of painting the bird feeder for outside. I bought some seeds and some cracked corn for it. We'll put that out for our little feathered friends now that there's ice and snow all over the yard. It's up to 42 degrees now, and it's 11 o'clock. It still will take a while before the slush and the ice melts off the backyard. The rain that we had following the snowstorm just put a slick coat of ice all over the place. Nancy's coming over tonight for dinner. Jim is away in Chicago for a week, so Jan's alone with her dogs. We were told that after Jim leaves in the morning, now all three dogs crawl into bed with her. The two Dobermans get as close to her as they can, and Brandy gets up on her feet. Those were to be the dogs that would be the watchdogs, and now they're doing the same thing that Teddy did with you, crawled into bed and put his head on the pillow next to you.